Welcome to the Better 2 podcast. I'm your host, Donna. Today's guest is Wendy from the Candy Whips. We discussed Candy Whip's new song called We Don't Need This Fascist Groove Thing. It's a cover of Heaven 17, and he's turned it into a dance record. We talk about that. We talk about tour life. We talk about fatherhood and so much more. So tune in. Hi, Wendy. How are you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Welcome back to the show. This time, while you still have a cover and then it's a dance track, it's a little bit different. What made you decide to revisit Heaven 17?
After I did the Do-Up Covers EP, I wasn't planning on doing another cover for a while. But I was listening to that first Heaven 17 album and this song came on and I was like, damn, this is what, 4 decades later, and the lyrics to this song are even more prescient than they were when that song first came out. So I thought, why not? Seems like a good time to bring it back.
Well, and I think it's funny, but it's not funny, but we don't need this fascist groove thing. But at the time, and I grew up watching the young ones as a teenager or late teenager. My roommates and I would all hang around the TV when MTV every Sunday night would show the young ones, and we were talking about fascist bully boys and everything. And it's like back then, really, comparatively speaking, I understand we had the whole punk movement and everything, but were we as was fascism as much in our face as it is currently?
No, it wasn't. People at least tried to hide it.
Well, yeah, the other Sunday, somebody posted a picture from Michigan. I don't live in Michigan, but the small town in Michigan, there were four guys walking around in tan pants, tan shirts with a swastika armband.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
I'm like, how do we get here? You want and to be fair, besides Heaven 17, you want to listen to some lyrics that still are very fitting? Go check out the.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
They have some lyrics that are seriously fitting for the time, and I thought that a few years ago. And I mean, I've loved them since the late 80s, but it's weird that some of those lyrics from those decades still are so poignant.
Absolutely.
So, why did you decide, hey, okay, this is, I mean, dare I say, Morrissey did this, have something upbeat and make it upbeat with such hardcore lyrics?
I mean, who was it that said the line, "It's not my revolution if I can't dance to it"?
True. I don't know who said it, but I do know the line.
Yeah. I mean, there's just because you're going up against dark stuff doesn't mean you can't have a good time while you're doing it. And I think that's going to bring more people into the fold if everything's not just complete and total doom and gloom all the time.
True, true. And you did change some of the lyrics, I noticed.
I did. I updated a few things.
Well, and rightfully so.
Yeah, we don't need to sing about Reagan anymore. His damage is already done.
Well, and to be fair, because of Reagan, this is why we are where we are.
Absolutely. He was the first rung in this terrible ladder that we're climbing right now.
It was interesting when my husband and I, my late husband and I, bought a house back in 2012. And when we went for the home tour, to go inspect the house, in the basement, there was a picture of Ronald Reagan.
hmm
And I just looked at my husband, just kind of like, yeah. And I mean, they were one was a corrections officer and one was a police officer. And I'm just thinking, you guys you don't understand what's really going on.
Yeah, that checks out.
And I think that's a bigger problem is we idolize, or not all of us, but some people idolize a figurehead that maybe doesn't have the power at all. I mean, Cheney
Yeah.
was running Reagan, and we know somebody else is also operating the fearless one.
Yeah, quite a few people.
Yeah. So where do you see, I mean, you live in California, correct?
hmm I
And
do.
I live in Illinois, so we both live in pretty liberal places.
hmm
Has your attitude about where you live changed any with this whole thing going on?
Uh, in what way?
Wha- Do you wake up every day with sunshine and roses, or do you just go, okay, well, what's going to happen now?
Let me just say that with everything that's going on, California is a pretty good place to be comparatively.
Yeah. And I'm not going to disagree. Where I live, I don't live in Chicago proper, and I was kind of miffed because the town I moved to,
Hmm.
I left a small town, and that was not surprising that they had a lot of racial issues there.
Sure.
But so I moved to a town outside of Rockford, and apparently they were having some kind of meat sale at one of the big box stores,
Hmm.
and there was a an African American lady out
Hmm.
out on the street holding a sign, and somebody actually called the cops on her.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the? I don't get it. What is your problem? You know?
Yeah, it's really in your face now.
Hmm. And I mean, when he ran the first time, I would sit there. Anytime I saw one of his signs, I'm like, your racism is showing.
Hmm.
And here we are. But here's an interesting fact that I heard, and whether I shouldn't say fact, but it's a bit of information that seems logical. So apparently, China is now building factories in Mexico.
Why?
Well, because if you want to cut off China and say you can't be our trading partner, we can build a factory in Mexico
Hmm.
and we can create everything we need to create. And
Hmm.
Mexico becomes a trading partner with us. But then we can ship it to the US
Got it.
because of that lovely agreement a long time ago that President Clinton signed
Uh-huh.
called the Free Trade Agreement.
Interesting.
Yeah. So really it's both sides.
Hmm.
Anyway, we didn't only come here to talk politics. So how did the covers record do?
I think it went pretty well. People seem to really enjoy it. It was a digital only release, so I can't really like track sales or anything, but people seem to really like it.
And that being said, digital releases are great, but when you have Spotify not paying you that much, it's hard for
Yeah,
you.
that doesn't even count.
No. So how big a production do you want to make this song? I mean, is this something that you want to maybe people to use it for campaign rallies?
I mean, I would be okay with that. I'm not I'm not pushing it too hard right now. I just had a baby four
Oh,
weeks ago, so
congratulations.
I'm in dadland right now. So, uh, marketing is not my number one priority at the moment, but I would be happy for the song to take itself wherever it goes.
How hard is it being a new parent in this environment?
It's weird. It's weird bringing a new person into this world and not being confident that there is going to be a world left in the next couple decades. But at the same time, if we do survive, we're going to need good people to help carry things on. So you just kind of have to hope for the best and do what you can.
Well, and I mean, it's got to be scary on many levels because everything is fluctuating as far as cost and scarcity, and you have to keep positive. And because the interesting study that came out recently was that we pass on our trauma, family trauma, through our DNA, through our
Yeah, for sure.
lineage, not just, you know, your dad and mom and your grandparents. No, it apparently goes way back.
Yeah. They've done studies where they found, there's like a whole generation of people that are starving for many years. And they go to like their great grandkids and find that that had an effect on their digestive system.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But we don't think about those things. We're just like, oh, we're just living in the moment. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, recently when I was talking to my half aunt and she was explaining certain things about my grandmother. And of
Hmm.
course, I have one version of my grandmother and she has a completely different one.
Yeah.
And that actually opened up doors for me because it was like, okay, it gave me better understanding of family.
Hmm.
And I don't think we actually, most of the times when, especially if we're in a toxic family situation, we just kind of go, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then we don't heal the trauma.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what do you hope to? I mean, I know you're in dad mode, but after dad mode, which, dad mode's going to be the next 21 years or more of your life.
Yep.
But what do you hope as far as new music coming out and any plans of playing live?
Yeah, so I'm taking a few months off from live music, just because I don't have the time or energy to even have band practice. But back by the end of fall, I hope to be back in the swing of that. In the meantime, I have another single that is currently being mixed, and I have a collaborative album with my friends in a band called Mirthquake. And we are putting the final touches on that, and that should hopefully be out in the next few months as well.
So, what's the next single?
You'll just have to wait and see. I don't know if it's going to be the single that I did myself or if it'll be a single from the Mirthquake collaboration. We're
Oh, okay. Okay.
still figuring it out.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is because it'll be a little bit before this airs. So that's why I'm asking, because we can also hype that a little bit. But,
It's it's probably going to be a couple months before anything comes out.
okay. So I know we talked a little bit about AI in music last time. Has your opinion changed any since we have all the data centers coming in?
Yeah, it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah. Though I saw a statistician or stat. I can't talk. That's not good for a person that's in a podcast. But I saw a poll today that was talking about things that the American people are more aware of and that they're
Hmm.
going more against. And the number
Hmm.
one thing was AI.
Yeah, nobody likes it. Nobody
Guess
that isn't making it or making money off of it wants anything to do with it.
no. There was an author who allegedly put out 50 books since March.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh. You're a prompter. You're not an author. Let me rephrase that. There was a prompter who put out 50 books and they're upset because they're not selling.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's not a cash grab. And you know that about music too. It's not a cash grab.
Yeah, even real music doesn't sell that well.
No, no. The second thing most people were upset was Trump.
Uh-huh.
And
That
then
makes sense.
the last thing on the list was Iran.
Interesting.
Well, I don't think people really, we haven't had the effects yet.
Hmm.
And growing up with, I grew up at the tail end of Vietnam.
Yeah.
And so when we weren't in war in the 80s, which we've always been, but we weren't in war in the 80s, my mom
Yeah.
would be like, "We need a war. It'll boost the economy."
That's a gross attitude.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's a lot of things about that she believed that I do not believe. And if she were alive today, I don't think we would talk. But that's beside the point. It's one of those things where I think that generation saw the growth though
Hmm.
after the war,
Yeah.
and most of us realize what war is.
Yeah, for sure.
And the only people making money are the people that have contracts.
Hmm.
So, um, how are gas prices affecting you?
I don't drive that much these days, so I haven't seen too much of a direct impact, but gas is $6 or $7 out here in California.
Wow. Okay, so I filled up when the war, and I don't drive that much. When the war first started, I filled up at 2.99 a gallon.
Hmm.
Last month, before I parked my car, I haven't driven in a month, I topped off at like 3.49 a gallon. I
Hmm.
have no idea. I think we're hitting 5 here where I
That sounds
live.
about right.
Yeah. But I'm like, what are you supposed to do? And I have a friend who's like, I'm going on a road trip to Michigan. And I just was like, really? I actually saw a gas station the other day that was out of gas because I went somewhere with one of my friends and it said out. I was just like, oh, that's not
Wow.
good. I
Yeah.
remember that from the 70s. Um, so in your free time, when you
Hmm.
had free time before the baby, what did you like to do as far as listening to music? What style of music did you like to listen to?
Like genre wise?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, lately I've been into a lot of Italo disco.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of old country music. Obviously, I'm into like new wave, synth pop, that sort of thing. I think I think the core of my listening though is like 70s punk and glam.
Okay. Fair enough.
Hmm.
And what calls to you about 70s punk and glam? Is it the going against the norms?
Yeah, well, they say that most people's music listening stops at high school.
Hmm.
Um, and that hasn't been true for me, but I was mostly listening to like 70s punk in high school. So even though I've like branched out and listened to all other stuff, like that's still that's my comfort zone. That's what I come back to. So I think when I was that age, of course, it was like the rebelliousness that really drew me to it.
Yeah, and I mean I think that's a bigger picture thing because you're very correct in that statement. Other than a few songs that are modern, my music tends to go back to the 80s and the 90s, somewhere in there where I grew up listening to that. Sure, I can hear the 70s and some of the 60s, but my parents they subjugated me to definitely different types of music. My mom was Barry Manilow, Neil Diamond, The Carpenters, Barbara Streisand. And then
Uh-huh.
my dad went from the Beatles to Fleetwood Mac to Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. Then one time I came, because I had moved away, I came back home and we get in the car and he's listening to Oingo Boingo. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
But I think if you have a musical background, which he played the organ, I
Hmm.
think your music taste grows still. I don't think you
Yeah.
get so stuck in it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what was your favorite group as far as punk?
As a teenager,
Yeah.
um, I was really into Sex Pistols, really into the Clash. Um, I was super into Pixies, although they're not like really a punk band. They're punk adjacent. Um, yeah, I was really into the classics. New York Dolls was a big one for me in high school.
And now, when you listen, are you still on them or have you discovered other artists in that genre?
I will say that I don't listen to those artists as often. It's one of those things where like I've listened to those albums so many times that it's not the one I usually think to put on, but then it comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, I've really missed this.
Hmm. I get that. I mean, it's like a song on the radio. You're like, oh wow, I forgot about that song. Then
Hmm.
suddenly, yeah, you have to hear it.
Hmm.
Um, what would you want to do? Yes, I have no notes today. I am just what would you want to do as far as who, if you could play with anybody alive or dead, who would you want
Hmm.
to collaborate with?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, Probably Brian Eno. I just you look at the way that he approaches music as a producer, and it's less even about the outcome of what he's done, which a lot of it is really incredible. Some of my favorite stuff, but I don't know if you've ever read David Byrne's book,
No.
How Music Works. He talks about the Talking Heads albums that he and Eno collaborated on, and just breaking old patterns and approaching music from a different way. I think is really fascinating.
I
And
ha-
and I've even taken some of those techniques they talk about in that book and tried to work them into the way I write music sometimes.
I had an interesting interview that with somebody who recently collaborated with him.
Nice.
She actually is a writer and an artist, and he was doing music behind her stories, and he was producing the vocal part of her book.
Hmm.
And he was basically telling her, "No, you need to slow down, even
Hmm.
slower." So he was making sure that how she read it, it was almost very calm
Uh-huh.
and very peaceful. And she talked about the collaboration. They actually have an organization that together they work with other artists
Hmm.
to help people. So, I mean, I've listened to Roxy music and a lot of other records that he's produced, and he's very talented, but he's
Hmm.
also very private.
Yes.
Which, I mean, after being in the game for so long, I think you do become very private.
And he always had a problem being in the public eye, which is why he hasn't toured since his first solo album. He was having nervous breakdowns on the road from touring because he just didn't like being in front of people. So I get that.
Well, it takes a lot to get up in front of people and remain in a headspace that you're not going to screw up.
Yeah.
I played bass in a talent show once, and I stayed at the same arpeggio. Nobody, my band member mates did not know I screwed up. I
Uh-huh.
knew I screwed up. I
Uh-huh.
took myself to task for quite a while about that. But it's one of those things where when you're in that performance, you're not thinking about it. You're just doing.
Yeah, sure.
So, so Brian Eno, what was your favorite music that he's ever created?
Uh,
I know you said the Talking Heads about that, but what was your favorite song or album that he's ever done?
Probably Here Come the Warm Jets.
Okay.
That album is flawless, start to finish.
And what about it is flawless to you?
Just it's so weird. Like there's there are moments on that album and it's kind of hard to describe, but from the very beginning of the track, there's just like this whisper of a sound and you don't even notice it. And it gets through like two or three verses and choruses, and then all of a sudden that sound gets brought to the forefront, and that's the solo. And it's like, oh, I've been listening to this instrument the entire time, and I didn't even realize it was there until now when it has its moment to shine. Just like interesting little tidbits like that, like really, really do it for me.
So it takes you on a journey.
It does.
And that's really, when I listen to yes, I hijacked my dad's Walkman. Somebody gave my dad his Walkman and Pink Floyd's The Wall
Hmm.
back in 1981. And as a teenager, I was in 8th grade. So 13 years old, listening to that for the first time and the separation and just the mechanics of music. That is something you have when you can listen to something on headphones. You
Hmm.
can really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's not the same as coming through your computer or, your phone. It lacks.
Yeah.
So I've never done this like this, so bad me. Um, as far as where would you like to play? What would be a gig you would like to play? If you could go back in time, or if you could just anywhere you want to play now. Two-part question.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like most of my musical interest lives in the past. So let's say if I could go back in time and play anywhere,
Hmm.
um, I think playing like the Grandy Ballroom in Detroit would be amazing. Um, or playing the Fillmore back in the '60s.
And who would be on that dream bill with you?
I saw a flyer once for a show that had both the Stooges and Funkadelic. If I could be added onto that bill, that would be a dream come true.
Be a night to remember for you.
Yeah, right. If I could remember it.
This is true. You may not remember it. It would be, I'm sure there would be some other substances and other things going on that you may not get to remember it.
Yeah, I'm sure members of one of those bands corrupted members of the other band that night.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Um, as far as pop music goes, do you do you prefer more modern pop music or do you care for the older stuff, the new wave? And I know you said the new wave, but just the older 80s, not even new wave type pop music.
As far as mainstream music, I don't think there's been much good mainstream music since the '80s. I think there were, a handful of good songs and artists since then, but you look at the charts in the '80s and like at least half of it is good.
Hmm.
And since then it's just been like a song here or there.
I will, and this is going to be totally random, but Huey Lewis's Four. I was never a huge fan of Huey Lewis.
Hmm.
However, have you seen American Psycho?
Of course.
Okay. The narration about that record in that movie is hysterical because I mean, you talk about Die Hard. You
Uh-huh.
would never imagine anybody. Huey Lewis, the news. And I mean, it's just everything. And then, of course, what does he do? He gives you this whole commentary and then bludgeons somebody. I mean, it's a bad movie. It really is. But, and speaking of movies, if you want to go back to the 80s, did you see Wall Street?
I did not.
You need to see Wall Street. If you
Okay.
would like to know how we've gotten partially where we are, the
Hmm.
original Wall Street.
Okay.
Oliver Stone says in it, he has Michael Douglas saying there, greed is good.
Hmm.
And basically, what happens in this movie is Charlie Sheen is this traitor. He ends up giving Michael Douglas a tip about this airline that's struggling, thinking
Hmm.
he's going to save his father's job.
Hmm.
Well, it's a private equity firm. I don't need to say any more than that.
Hmm.
And it's basically Oliver Stone has come out and said, I didn't make that movie as a playbook,
Yeah.
but here we are.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, I would say definitely check it out.
All right.
And I know this interview is going all over the place.
No
So,
worries.
um, what is your favorite instrument to play?
Uh, I mean, singing is my favorite instrument.
Okay, fair enough.
It's 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 the only one I truly feel confident in. I I am varying degrees of competent in many instruments, but that's the one I feel most comfortable in. And after that, probably drums, which was my first instrument. Even though I don't play drums that much anymore.
But I'm sure if you sat down, you could play them without a problem.
Yeah, I get that's the only instrument I could sit down and like jam with other people on.
So, when you decided to get into this, be part of this other band, what precipitated that?
Candy Whips.
Not Candy Whips, the one you're collaborating on the other record.
Oh, Mirthquake.
Yes, Mirthquake. Apologize.
So, my friend Jack, who is kind of the head honcho of Mirthquake, he and I have collaborated for many years. He has done most of the mixes on all the Candy Whips releases. He and I recorded an album of Halloween novelty music a few years ago. Um, and last year I was working on trying to get some music like put in commercials and TV placement and stuff. And so I recorded a cover. I'm not going to say which one it is because it will eventually be on the collab album. I recorded a cover to submit to the placement company, and I was like, "Hey, this needs a little guitar solo. Would you put a guitar solo on this and mix it for me?" And the solo he put on there just it doubled the length of the song, and it just takes it into a whole new space than it was before. And we're like, "Okay, this is really interesting. Maybe I'll come down to LA and let's do a whole album together." So we had I think like 4.5 days and recorded 7 songs.
Wow.
And then we have a couple more that we're kind of doing remotely together. So yeah, just kind of evolved that way.
So, what's it like to try to pitch to get your music in placement for TV, movies, and ads?
Well, the company I was doing with specifically wanted cover songs
Okay.
because apparently that's an easier sell. But the people who are buying these songs don't want to pay the big bucks for the originals. So it's all about the covers. If you notice, like every TV show, every movie has some usually really sappy cover version of a song in it. And so I recorded a song, I sent it to them. They gave me notes back. Basically, just didn't like it at all. They didn't want they didn't want anything weird or unique. They wanted sappy, like emo folk covers of
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a failed experiment in that arena. But we're getting this new album out of it, so it was not a total loss.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you try something, it may not work. So, you end up going a different path. And that, like you said, you have a whole album.
Yeah.
Tracy Bonham today, she did Mother Mother back in the day.
Hmm.
And it's around the anniversary of it. But a TV show called Film picked it up and somebody's singing it. And it's kind of a more depressing thrasher.
Hmm.
It's a good version, but it's totally different vision of what it is.
Yeah.
And would you be willing to make music again for that placement?
If somebody wanted the style of music that I make, absolutely. But I'm not going to go and cater my style to what they're looking for. That's just not the kind of music I make.
You mean you're not playing for the Suits?
I'm not playing for the Suits.
And do the Suits really even exist anymore?
Apparently, because they didn't like my song.
Or here's a scary thing, or are they trying to go with the AI route?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't, as far as I know, I haven't heard any AI covers of songs in
Good.
programs yet, but it's buried in the mix.
Well, this is
Maybe we have
true.
and we just don't even notice.
I mean, there was somebody saying that she had recorded a song and sent it to somebody to work on it, and they
Hmm.
uploaded it in AI
Ugh.
and recreated a different version of the song with her voice.
I would be so pissed if somebody did that to me.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it was AI, total AI. And then it started climbing the charts. That's what really got her pissed off.
Yuck.
So, but that's the thing. How do you tell it's a human voice or not? How do you know? Because deep
Yeah.
fakes are bad now.
Yeah.
So, what do you do now? I mean, I know you're a dad. What do you
Hmm.
do in your free time?
Uh, well, I do a lot of art. Um, I was actually working on a concert poster right before this.
Okay.
That's kind of my main art focus is concert posters, but I do album art. I do, merchandise for bands and stuff. I have done logos for small companies. Um, yeah, all sorts of stuff. Um, so I do a lot of that. I just got a new job this week to being the maintenance guy for a preschool. So
Okay.
that's pretty exciting. I watch a lot of movies, listen to a lot of records.
Any good movies lately?
What's new movies that I've seen? I really enjoyed the new Naked Gun movie that came out a few
Have
months
not
ago.
seen it. Have not
It's
seen
great.
it. Did you see Sinners?
I did see Sinners. That one was good.
That was very good.
Hmm.
I finally saw that recently. Naked Gun, I may see it, I may not. I haven't decided yet. But if you
It's it's so rare that Hollywood puts out a big mainstream comedy these days. They're
mhm.
so scared to put out comedies because people's sense of humor is varying, and because it's not a given, they don't make those movies much. So I feel like to me, it's really important when a good mainstream comedy comes out to like go see it in theater and like let Hollywood know, yes, like
We
people do
want
still
this.
want to see these movies.
Instead of, I mean, I like The Bear, the TV show The Bear, but it wasn't a dramedy. I didn't find humor in that show at
No,
all.
that show's just stressful.
Yeah. Yes. The episode where Jamie Lee Curtis is fixing Thanksgiving was one of the most stressful things I have ever watched on TV.
Uh-huh.
But they're like, it's a dramedy. No, it's not. There's no
Yeah.
comedy in there. And I
No.
think that's like you were saying, because our sense of humor is so askewed now.
Hmm.
How do you find joy in things? I mean, I have a friend who shares a lot of videos with me of people falling down and getting hurt in the reels that are on Instagram or whatever, and she's laughing about it. I'm just like, no, I'm mortified because I know I worked in insurance, so I know what the body can and cannot do, and I just think of it from, oh, that person's going to be hurting really, really bad.
Yeah.
But I that's the thing. Everybody's sense of humor is different.
Hmm.
So if you could, if you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
I really want to go to Japan.
Okay.
That is the number one spot that I have not visited that I would like to go.
And why?
I feel like most of my traveling out of the country has been either in Europe or uh, like Central America. And I really love visiting those places, but it doesn't feel like a huge cultural shock. Like it's all pretty familiar. And I feel like Japan would be way more different, but also easier to navigate than a lot of other places that might have that same just kind of different feel.
Out of all the places you have traveled, what was your favorite trip?
I really like Mexico. I really like Germany. And driving through the Swiss Alps on tour is probably the most beautiful landscape I've ever witnessed.
I can imagine it's beautiful. Was it scary?
No,
Okay.
no,
I
not at
didn't know
all.
if it was going to be so narrow and, those horror stories of traveling.
Yeah, we didn't drive through any sketchy roads that I remember.
Good. Good. And that was for the music, correct? That was for touring.
Correct. Hmm.
So what's it like to tour over there?
I can't say what it's like now. I'm sure things have changed a bit in the past few years, post COVID. But the three times that I went, I would say touring in Europe is so much better than touring in the States. You tour in the States, if you get enough money to fill up your gas tank, you've done well for the night. You're not going to get fed. You're on your own for a place to stay. I can't tell you how many times I've just had to announce from the stage, like, hey, we're homeless for the night. If anyone has a floor, like, we'd love to stay on your floor tonight.
Wow.
But you go to Europe, you're going to get paid. You're going to get a couple $100 at least, no matter what. I've played shows to five people, and you still get paid. You still get a meal, usually home cooked, and you still get an actual bed to sleep in. Bare minimum.
So they appreciate you. They
They
appreciate you
do.
as a human.
Yeah.
I mean, I read Dave Grohl's book and he talked about living in the van and how it was not comfortable and I think that's a lot that people don't think about when they think about being a musician.
Hmm.
They go from I was in the garage till I was on MTV
Hmm.
or or traveling the country in a bus
Yeah.
or a plane. I don't think people really think about the time that takes between.
Yeah, for sure. You spend 23 hours for an hour or less on stage.
Hmm. And then you get if you have a good audience, then you get the adrenaline rush, and then you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with yourself after the show.
Sure.
And that's where some people get into trouble. Not all, but some people.
Yeah.
So, out of all the places that you have played,
Hmm.
what was the actual favorite gig that you did?
Favorite gig.
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint a one favorite gig, but my old band Glitter Wizard played a festival in Sweden called Muskelrock, which was definitely a top show for me. It was this big metal festival in the countryside in the middle of Sweden in these old medieval fairgrounds. And so they've got, they have like old fair games like the hammer where you try and like hit the bell and stuff like that. And they've got this huge wooden circus tent with big murals painted on the ceiling of like, dudes in lederhosen drinking beer and stuff like that. And I don't know, the bands were really cool. And the bar, instead of serving everything in disposable containers, they had reusable cups that had the venue's logo on them, and beer was like €2, and they had a deal where if you collect 20 cups and bring them back to the bar, you get a free beer. So they don't have to pay people to clean up.
Nice.
Everyone was just doing all their own bussing, which was awesome. There was they brought in a wrestling ring and they had a wrestling match that performed as part of the festival, which collapsed at the end of the match. That was fun.
I collapsed.
It collapsed towards the end of the match, and the wrestlers was just like, "Oh shit, what do we do?" And the ref was just like, "Wrap it up." And so the guy's like, "Okay, I pin you. All right, end." But that was a really fun gig. I really enjoyed that.
Well, and what you're describing, it sounds like you stepped into a different world almost.
Oh yeah, totally. It was our first gig on tour. We'd been traveling for like 16 hours to get there, and during the time of year where it just like doesn't get dark at night. So we partied until like 3 in the morning before the sun finally went down, and then the sun went down. And we're like, all right, we got to like get back in the van and like drive to our next gig, and the sun was back up within an hour. It was really
Wow.
surreal.
That sounds crazy and it sounds very sleep deprived.
Yeah, yeah. That leg of tour was gnarly. We flew all the way to Copenhagen, picked up a van, picked up a driver, drove to Sweden, played this festival, hung out for a few hours, got back in the van, drove back to Copenhagen, dropped off that van, got on a plane, flew to Italy, picked up a new van, new driver, new gear, drove a few hours to our first gig, played the first gig. It was it was like 24 hours or more before we were able to like actually get horizontal sleep.
And then are you playing pass out?
Oh yeah.
Your body's just like, I'm done.
Yeah. No, I take that back. It was 48 hours. 48 hours of travel before we got to sleep. And at that point we're all delirious and like some of the guys in the band were like partying to try and cope and they were just like out of their minds.
Hmm.
It was nuts.
Yeah. I've stayed up. When I won Live Aid, I had to stay up from 3 p.m. Friday night till midnight Sunday night.
Hmm.
And I also worked. I had to work that day and I had to babysit the next day. And by, I think it was 5 o'clock Sunday morning, they started playing religious programming. So I
Hmm.
called the radio station. I'm like, how long is this going to last? She's like, I shouldn't tell you. And I'm like, I'm trying to win. She goes, it'll be on until 10. Okay. But even though I had a few hours of sleep, I stayed up. And then by the time end of I fell asleep before it ended. My friend
Yeah.
actually caught it. But your body, when you're younger, you don't think about those things.
Yeah, for sure.
You just do it. And I mean, being on tour, like I said, you have that adrenaline.
Hmm.
So that helps you. But in the long run, it takes you down.
Yeah, once it wears off, it really catches up.
How long was that tour?
I think that one was about 3 weeks. Most of our tours were around 3 or 4 weeks.
And you kind of went all over the Europe at that point.
Mostly Central and Eastern Europe. Yeah.
So, what did you like about Germany?
It's kind of hard to put a finger on what exactly I like about Germany. I mean, the Germans are weird. They're very strange people. They're very to the point. To the point that it seems rude to our sensibilities, which I kind of find funny. Their sense of humor is really strange. Um, but I don't know, something about Germany just like feels very comforting and familiar to me. I like the food. I like I like the architecture. I they're they're very efficient in a way that is comforting to my mild OCD. They're very progressive. Um, yeah, Germany's just cool. Berlin and Mexico City are probably the two hippest cities I've ever been to.
Now, here's an off the wall question. Because of what's going on here,
Hmm.
have you thought about leaving the States?
Not seriously, you know, everyone's like thought about it, whether they've actually considered doing it or not. And I think if I had to leave the States, I would probably either go to Mexico or I've heard really good things about Ireland.
Hmm.
And it might be possible for my wife to get dual citizenship with Ireland if we needed to. So that might be a possibility if we had to.
It's a weird thing to even, I know, pose that question, but it's something that I've seen many people talk about.
If I didn't have so many like connections and my life wasn't so grounded in the States, I would have left already.
Understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend, a longtime friend who she has friends in Ireland. They're like, come on over. And she's
Hmm.
like, but my life is here.
Yeah.
It's hard. And it's hard to I mean, I've uprooted myself from one place in the States to another, but moving across the world is completely different.
Yeah, totally.
So, hmm, what would you what would you like to write as far as music goes? What would be your stellar, most impressive piece of music style that you could write?
Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing that every time I
Okay.
write.
Okay. Fair.
And
I know that's a weird question, but it's like, is there something that calls to you that has not been unleashed yet?
I don't think so. I think I'm always following where the muse takes me. And, you know, whatever I'm working on at the moment feels like the coolest thing I've ever done. And, you know, sometimes I finish it and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, the muse failed me at this time. But, you know, the next time I write something else and it's amazing. So,
But have you
yeah,
ever
I
had
feel,
go ahead.
you know, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Um, yeah, it's like I don't feel like I have some goal that I have yet to achieve as far as songwriting goes. I feel like I'm always achieving the next goal as I come to it.
My question was that my other question, where I almost interrupted you, was uh, have you ever, the things that you think aren't good, have you ever let others listen to it and then them turn around and say, no, this is really good?
Um, I don't remember ever doing that because usually if I don't think something's good, I'm not going to show it to people.
So you're
Uh,
your, are you your own worst critic then?
yeah, everyone is. Yeah, of course. But also everyone makes bad art.
Hmm.
Nobody hits 100 every single time. You just don't usually see the failures because at least good artists know when it's a hit and when it's not. Um, I think it was Chuck Jones said that every artist has 1,000 bad drawings inside of him, and the sooner you get those done and out of the way, the sooner you can get to the good ones. So, for me, it's all I always need to follow the muse where it takes me, even if it's not successful. I usually tend to learn something that I can bring into my next project.
Fair. What's your favorite medium to work with as an artist?
As a visual artist,
Yes.
uh, these days I do a lot of digital drawing. I was a pen and ink guy for decades, and really wasn't interested in doing anything digital. But I started getting to the point where because most of the stuff that I'm doing is primarily being used online, it's all ending up on the computer anyway by the time I finish it. And I was wanting to experiment with a lot of layering and things that doing it all by hand analog would take just far too long. So something that could take me an entire day to do analog, I can do in an hour on a drawing pad. And the digital brushes these days have gotten so good
Hmm.
that even I can't tell the difference between my digital stuff and my analog stuff if I'm going for that same look.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So when did you decide that you were going to do music and then art? Did they both kind of happen at the same time, your decision to do this, or was it something that one led to the other?
I have always done both
Okay.
since I was a little kid. I was winning drawing contests when I was in kindergarten, and I did choir all through school. I sang in church. I was taking piano lessons when I was a little kid. So music has always been in my blood. And even I remember in fifth grade, we had an assignment where we had to choose our dream job, and then the teacher would pair us up with someone who actually did that job, and we'd follow them for a day. And even then, like I was just like, oh, I want to like be in a rock band, like, and it wasn't even that I was like actively considering like pursuing that. I just knew
Hmm.
in the back of my mind that's what I was going to end up doing when I got older.
And who
And
did
sure
they pair
enough,
you with?
so the teacher couldn't find anyone who was in a band. So she's like, okay, well, what's your second choice? And I said, okay, well, I want to be a cartoonist. And she couldn't find a cartoonist. And I was like, okay, just pair me with a doctor. That's what everyone else is doing. I'm done trying. And so I paired with a doctor, and it was boring. And I failed that assignment because I was not interested in it.
Fair. I mean, if you don't want to be a doctor, following a doctor isn't going to be like, okay, what am I,
Yeah,
I mean, at least nowadays, if somebody did that, I'm sure they could find somebody to pair you up with.
I would hope so.
Wow. And I'm sure if your child shows, I mean, granted, they're a baby, but if they showed interest in music and everything, I'm sure they're going to be supportive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I've already have my kid's first synthesizer picked out for him.
And are you going to do the painted baby handprints or some plaster handprints of him? Or
I mean, he got his footprints done when we were in the hospital. So,
yeah, I remember I went to New Orleans when I moved back to New Orleans. I had my birth certificate from the hospital, and
mhm,
my other one I didn't bring, and I had to
mhm.
get my license. And the lady's like, "We don't take the feet print one." I'm like, "Okay." This one I was. It's documented. Everything's there, but you okay? So, so the footprints are important though because you look at that and go, "Wow, how much
Yeah.
he's going to grow quick too."
Yeah, it's wild. When he was born, his whole feet were not much bigger than my big toes.
Wow. And they grow up so fast.
They sure do. He's only a month old and he looks wildly different than he did when he was born.
So are you excited about what the future holds as far as him, even though we are living in the dark times that we are?
Of course. I mean, that's the thing I'm looking forward to most in my life these days is just watching him grow and getting to know who he is and just being able to like share all the things I love with him.
Well, and granted, hopefully this will all be done with by that time, but hopefully he won't get into the looks maxing crowd and all that other weird.
Oh, I'm gonna make it my goal to make sure he's not a part of the manosphere.
I don't even understand how we got here. I really don't.
It's very dumb.
But as I've talked to somebody, one of my friends about this, it's a great way to divide us. Once
It is.
again, now we divided the sexes,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody sees that.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you'd like to add on this wild ride of a Q&A show?
Just keep an eye out. Got plenty more stuff coming. I'm making sure to keep the music flowing even while I'm not playing live shows. And I should be back to live music in the fall. So if you're in the Bay Area, keep an eye out for those.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, I don't have questions prepared. I never have questions prepared. They always come off the cuff. But I usually have a sheet of notes to refer to. And today, because timing schedule was kind of off, I thought the podcast was later. My guest thought the podcast was earlier, and we had to come to a compromise, which meant me getting ready and doing this. And I'm letting you know the nuts and bolts of the podcast here. Usually I get ready, I leave myself an hour and a half. I've done the pod prep and everything else. And this time, because scheduling was a little different, didn't happen. So I hope you enjoyed the show as wild as it was. Not that it was totally outlandish, but there were questions I normally would not ask. But we had a show to tape, and I had to do what I had to do. So I think, us discussing the fact of the matter that 40 years ago, fascism seemed, a big deal. And as I was saying about there are some songs by the in the late 80s that fit in with our world today. And also even when you think about Two Tribes Go to War, that song still fits. It still works. And this is 40 years ago. And what we thought was the worst thing in the world, well, we've headed much darker since then. And, I've talked about this before on the show. And I think that if we take and listen to those old tracks, those old songs, you know, even war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. That's the truth. But we don't, we would sing that, and now it has even more of a meaning because now we're sitting here. It's not just what's going on between us and Iran, it's a bigger conflict brewing in the whole world. And there's fear, and collectively, with fear, everybody buys in. And there's got to be a way for us to pull back. And I appreciate the fact that he turned that song, "We Don't Need the Fascist Groove Thing," into a dance song because we need to raise the vibration of us, of our planet, into a better place. We know what we don't want as a collective. And while we're going through this, while we're having all these growing pains, we need to kind of get to a point where we say, no, enough is enough. The grift is done. We are people, we have rights, and we need to make sure that we're paying attention to what people are doing. I mean, I didn't even think about this on the podcast, but for, a congressman to come out, the head congressman to come out and say, I need $174,000 to live. I need more than $174,000 to live. We should allow insider trading. Most Americans don't make that. I certainly don't make that, not even close to that. Plus, they get free health care, which I still have to pay for mine. And they get $79 a day for meals. I have to find my groceries for about $200 for the month, if that. If that. So, and I'm not whining. All I'm saying is we have people that are in power that are very out of touch with their constituents. And it's unfortunate. And I would hope that we can look around and not keep aspiring to be, well, what if I win the lottery? Then they're going to take half of everything. And then what about doing what's good for the collective? What about doing what's right for people? What about taking care of everybody? Kind of like he was saying about touring Europe. And granted, it may not be the same now, but when he toured Europe, you got fed, you had a place to sleep, you got paid. And here, you're lucky if you got paid because if you didn't meet the door, then you got nothing. You got to sleep in a van, if that. So I think we need to really re-examine how we treat people. And there was no reason, like I mentioned about the woman that was doing her job, there was no reason for the police to be called. But somebody just didn't like it. Why? Because she's African American? Get over yourself. And that's the thing. We have to get rid of racism. Somebody said we should have let the Confederacy die. I wish we would have. And granted, yes, I'm from New Orleans, but I don't subscribe to that, never have. And I think that we need to get past that because we are all the same. We are all human beings. And we need to prioritize what is important. Data centers are not important. Data centers that are most likely for surveillance, data centers that will eat power, data centers that will destroy our water and take up land that could be used for other things. But hey, let's do this. And what other atrocities? We have cyanide being dropped on wildlife. You know, when I wake up and I look around the world, when I look at what's going on, it's like every day, you just go, what's next? And it would be nice for one day not to wake up and go, what's next? To actually have a normalcy. The new norm is not nice. But anyway, I would advise you to go check out the song. It's a great song. It's definitely danceable, and the lyrics are poignant. And he, like I said, he did update them. So, on that note, I'd like to thank Fast Susie for the music, the intro and outro music. I'd like to thank Wendy from the Candy Whips for coming on again. And I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in, whether it be morning, noon, or night. I really do appreciate you listening. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.